My name is Leo, and this is the story of a year. I learned about fear and about the one thing more powerful than fear. My story of first love. My school was called Oakwood High. It wasn't special. Brown bricks, green doors, windows that only open halfway. My world was small. Homework, football with friends, and trying not to be noticed by the school bully, a guy named Mark who was basically a mountain in a school uniform. Then, in the middle of the spring semester, she arrived. Her name was Chloe. She walked into our history class on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesday was the day we had a test on the Industrial Revolution, and I had forgotten everything about steam engines. The teacher, Mr. Clark, said, "Class, we have a new student. This is Chloe." Now, in movies, when the new girl walks in, the sun shines through the window and a beautiful song starts playing. This was not like the movies. The fluorescent light was flickering, Mark was throwing a paper ball, and Chloe looked terrified. She had curly brown hair that seemed to be trying to hide her face, and she was holding her books so tightly her fingers were white. Mr. Clark pointed to the only empty seat in the room, right next to me. My heart did a funny jump. Not a romantic jump, more like the jump your heart does when you almost fall down the stairs. She walked over, sat down, and didn't look at me. She just stared at her desk. I wanted to say something. Hello would have been good. Or welcome to Oakwood, it's not so bad. But my tongue felt too big for my mouth. So I said nothing. Very cool, Leo. Very cool. For the next week, Chloe was a ghost. She came to class, took notes, ate lunch alone, and left. She was so quiet. I started to notice small things. She always drew little stars in the margins of her notebook. She bit her lip when she was thinking. She had a smile that appeared for a second sometimes when someone said something funny in class, and then it vanished like she wasn't sure she was allowed to smile. My best friend, Sam, noticed me noticing. "You're staring again," he said at lunch, throwing a French fry at me. "I'm not staring. I'm observing." "She's new. She's probably lonely. Or maybe she's a spy," Sam said. Always the practical one. Sent to learn our secrets. Probably wants to know why the cafeteria meatloaf is gray. I laughed, but I couldn't stop thinking about her. Why was she so quiet? Then our chance came. Our English teacher, Mrs. Bell, who loved creative collaboration, announced a partner project. "We're studying poetry," she said with a clap of her hands. "And love is the greatest muse. I'm pairing you up to analyze and present a love poem." A groan went through the class. Love poems? To a bunch of 15-year-olds? This was torture. Mrs. Bell started reading names. Sam and Jessica, Michael and Priya. My palms were sweaty. "Please, please, please." "And Leo," she said. I held my breath. "You'll be with Chloe." I almost fell off my chair. Sam gave me a huge grin and a thumbs up. I slowly turned to look at Chloe. For the first time, she was looking back at me, and she didn't look terrified. She looked resigned. Like, "Oh great, I have to work with him." After class, I gathered all my courage. My heart was beating so loud, I was sure the whole school could hear it. Thump, thump, thump. I walked over to her desk as she was packing her bag. "Hi," I said. My voice sounded strange. "Too high." "Hi," she said softly, still not looking at me. "So the project, we should, maybe meet? To choose a poem?" I sounded like a robot. A very nervous robot. "Okay," she said. "Library? Tomorrow after school." "Perfect," I said a little too loudly. A few people looked over. I felt my face turn red. I mean, yes. That works. Perfectly. She gave me that quick, disappearing smile. "Okay, see you then." That was it. A 30-second conversation. But for the rest of the day, I felt like I was walking on the moon. She talked to me. She smiled. Sort of. It was the best day I'd had in a long time. The next day, I was in the library 15 minutes early. I combed my hair 3 times. I changed my shirt twice. Sam said I was acting weird. "It's a project, not a wedding," he said. When Chloe arrived, she was carrying a huge, old book. It looked like it belonged in a museum. "What's that?" I asked. It's my grandmother's poetry book, she said, placing it gently on the table. I thought we might find something in here. The poems in our textbook are boring. She opened the book. The pages were yellow and smelled like old roses and dust. I watched her hands as she carefully turned the pages. She had tiny freckles on the back of her hands. This is my favorite, she said, her voice barely a whisper. She pointed to a poem. It was called I Carry Your Heart. My grandmother used to read it to me. I read the first few lines. I carry your heart with me. It was simple, but so beautiful. I didn't understand all of it, but I understood the feeling. I like it, I said. Let's do this one. Her whole face changed. Her eyes lit up. Really? You don't think it's silly? Silly? No, it's amazing. I searched for a word. True. For the next hour, we didn't really work on the project. We talked. Well, she started to talk. I learned that she had moved here because her dad got a new job. She missed her old town, her old friends. She loved art and music and hated sports. She told me about her grandmother who loved poetry. I told her about my love for football, my annoying little sister, and my fear of our school's mystery meatloaf. She laughed. Ariel, Prupelo. It wasn't a disappearing smile. It was a sound like bells. I made her laugh. Me, Leo, the guy who was too scared to say hello a week ago. When the librarian told us the library was closing, we both jumped. We had been in our own world. We should probably actually analyze the poem, Chloe said, grinning. We will, I said. Same time tomorrow? She nodded. Yes. Walking home that evening, the world looked different. The sky was pink and orange. The air was warm. I felt like I could run for 100 miles. This was more than just a crush. This was connection. I found someone who saw the world a little like I did. Someone who thought an old book was a treasure. Someone who made my heart do that funny jump, but now it felt like flying. Of course, first love is never simple. It's like a beautiful, fragile glass bird. You're so scared you'll drop it. And I was about to learn that there are always people who want to see if it can break. The next few weeks were the best of my life. Chloe and I met in the library every other day. We worked on our project, but mostly we just talked. We discovered a shared love for terrible science fiction movies. We would describe them to each other and laugh until our stomachs hurt. I learned she could draw beautifully. Those little stars in her margin turned into whole galaxies on her sketch pad. One day, she drew a quick sketch of Mr. Clark, our history teacher, as a grumpy Roman emperor. It was so funny and perfect, I snorted my juice right out of my nose. She laughed so hard she cried, and in that moment I knew. I was in love. Not the she's pretty kind of love. Her laugh is my favorite sound, and her thoughts are my favorite place to be kind of love. It was terrifying and wonderful. Our friendship didn't go unnoticed. Sam was happy for me. You're less grumpy, he observed. It's disturbing. But Mark, the school bully, noticed too. One afternoon, as Chloe and I were walking out of school together, he and his friends blocked our path. Well, Mark said, his voice like a gravel truck. Look at this, Leo and his little library mouse. My blood went cold. Leave us alone, Mark. Ooh, he's got a voice now. Mark mocked. He looked at Chloe. What do you even see in him? He's about as interesting as a piece of toast. Chloe didn't shrink back like I expected. She looked right at Mark. He's kind, she said, her voice clear and steady. And he's my friend, which is more than I can say for you. The group of boys went, oh. Mark's face turned red. He wasn't used to being talked back to, especially by a girl. You'll regret that, he muttered, but the moment was broken. He shoved past us, his friends following. My heart was hammering. You didn't have to do that, I said to Chloe. Yes, I did, she said. She was shaking a little, but she looked determined. People like him only have power if you give it to them. In that moment, I didn't just love her. I admired her. She was braver than I was. The day of our poetry presentation arrived. I was a nervous wreck. Speaking in front of the class was my worst nightmare. Chloe and I stood at the front of the room. She held her grandmother's book. I had made some notes on cards, but my hands were sweating so much the ink was blurring. We chose a poem by E. Cummings. Chloe began, her voice soft but sure. It's called I Carry Your Heart. She read the first part. Her voice changed when she read poetry. It became softer, slower, like she was sharing a secret with every single person in the room. It was my turn. I looked at my cards, but the words swam. I panicked. I looked out of the class. Mark was smirking in the back row. I felt a gentle nudge. Chloe had moved closer. She pointed to the line in the book, her finger resting gently on the page. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me and gave a small, almost invisible nod. I took a deep breath. I looked away from the class and looked at her. And I read, "Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows. Higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart." I wasn't reading to the class anymore. I was reading to her. The room was completely silent. When we finished, there was a pause, and then Mrs. Bell started clapping, her eyes a little shiny. "Beautiful," she said. "Just beautiful. You didn't just analyze the poem. You felt it. A plus." We walked back to our seats. My legs felt like jelly. Under the table, Chloe's hand found mine. She gave a quick, tight squeeze. That tiny squeeze meant more than any A+. After school, we walked to our usual spot, a bench under a big oak tree at the edge of the school field. "We did it," I said, letting out a huge breath. "We did," she smiled. The late afternoon sun was shining through her curls, making them look like a halo. She was so beautiful it hurt to look at her sometimes. "Chloe," I said, my voice suddenly serious. I need to tell you something." She looked at me, her big brown eyes curious. "What is it?" "The poem. What it says. About carrying someone's heart." I took another breath. This was harder than the presentation. "I feel that. About you. There." I said it. The world didn't end. A bird chirped in a tree above us. Chloe looked down at her hands. For a horrible second, I thought I had made a terrible mistake. Maybe she just saw me as a friend. Maybe I had ruined everything. Then she looked up. There were tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. A real, full, sunshine smile that reached her eyes. "I carry your heart, Leo," she said quietly, quoting the poem. "I carry it in my heart." And then she leaned forward and she kissed me. It wasn't a dramatic movie kiss. It was shy and sweet and over too quickly. It was my first kiss. It tasted like cherry lip balm and hope. When she pulled back, we were both blushing and smiling like fools. That was the start of our summer. A golden, perfect summer. We spent almost every day together. We had picnics in the park. We went to the terrible $2 cinema. We talked about everything and nothing. We held hands everywhere. I felt invincible. I had found my person. But you know what they say about first love? It's the brightest flame, and because it's so bright, you sometimes forget that flames can burn out or be blown out by a strong wind. The wind came at the end of August. Chloe called me, and her voice sounded strange. Flat. "Leo, can you come over? My parents, they need to talk to us." A cold knot formed in my stomach. When I got to her house, her parents were sitting in the living room, looking serious. Chloe was sitting stiffly on the sofa, not looking at me. "Leo," her father began, "I've been offered a fantastic job opportunity. Back in our old city." The words hit me like physical blows. "It's a chance we can't pass up," her mother added gently. "We'll be moving at the end of next week." Next week? The room started to spin. I looked at Chloe. A single tear rolled down her cheek. There's no other way," I asked, my voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, Leo," her father said. "We've already put the house on the market." The rest of the conversation was a blur. Good opportunities, better schools, staying in touch. When her parents left the room, Chloe finally looked at me. Her eyes were pools of sorrow. "I didn't know," she whispered. "They just told me this morning." We held each other for a long time. We didn't cry. We just held on, as if we could stop time by holding tight enough. The last week was a heartbreaking countdown. Every last was a little death. Last walk to the park. Last shared ice cream. Last kiss under the oak tree. The day she left, we stood by her family's packed car. We had promised to call, to write, to visit. We were 15. We believed in promises. "I love you, Leo," she said, her voice thick with tears. "I love you, Chloe. I carry your heart." She got in the car. I watched it drive away until it was just a speck, and then it was gone. I stood there on an empty street, and for the first time, I understood what heartbreak felt like. It wasn't just sadness. It was a physical pain, a hollow, aching emptiness in my chest where her laughter used to live. The golden summer was over, and autumn had arrived, cold and gray. The first few months after Chloe left were the hardest. School started again, but it felt colorless. The library was just a room with books. The bench under the oak tree was just a piece of wood. We tried to stay in touch, like we promised. We called every Sunday. We wrote long emails. But something was changing. It was small at first. Her stories about her new school didn't include me. My jokes about Mr. Clark didn't make sense to her new friends. The silences on the phone grew longer. We were living different lives, 100 miles apart. The thread connecting us was stretching, getting thinner and thinner. Then one Sunday, I called and a boy answered. "Hello," he said, sounding casual at home. Is Chloe there?" I asked, my heart pounding. "Chloe, it's for you." I heard him call. "Chloe," a nickname. My stomach twisted. When she came on the phone, her voice was different. Distant. Lil. "Who was that?" I asked, trying to sound casual and failing. "Oh, that's just Jake. From my art class. He was just helping me with a project." Just Jake. The words felt like a door closing. We talked, but it was like talking to a ghost of the girl I knew. The conversation was polite. Empty. At the end, she said, "Leo, I think we need to take a break from calling every week. It's getting hard. It hurts." I knew what she meant. Every call was a reminder of what we lost. A reminder that we were drifting in different oceans. "Okay," I whispered, my throat tight. "I understand. I'm sorry," she said, and she sounded like she meant it. "Me too." That was our last real conversation. The email stopped soon after. Just like that, my first love was over. Not with a big fight or a dramatic scene. It ended with a quiet, sad phone call and a slow fade to gray. That's how heartbreak happens sometimes. Not with a scream, but with a sigh. For a long time, I was lost. I threw myself into football. I studied hard. I went to parties with Sam. I even tried to date other girls. But it was never the same. Chloe had set a standard in my heart. A standard of connection, of laughter, of quiet understanding that no one else seemed to meet. I carried the memory of her like a secret treasure, but also like a wound that wouldn't quite heal. Years passed. I finished school. I went to university in a different city. I studied engineering. I made new friends. I had other relationships. Some were good, some were not. Life moved on, as it always does. The sharp pain of losing Chloe became a dull, familiar ache, a bittersweet memory I would visit sometimes, like an old photo album. I learned that heartbreak doesn't kill you. It changes you. It makes you more careful, a little more guarded. But it also makes you appreciate connection more deeply. I never forgot her. How could I? She was my first. The first person who saw me, the real me, and chose to stay for a while. Then, 12 years later, it happened. I was back in my hometown for a weekend, helping my parents clean out their attic. Sam, now a graphic designer living in the city, was visiting too. "Let's go get a coffee at that new place downtown," he said. For old time's sake. The coffee shop was bright and modern, nothing like the old, dusty cafes we had as teenagers. I was waiting in line, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a voice. A laugh. A sound like bells buried deep in my memory. My head snapped up. There, at a small table by the window, was a woman with curly brown hair, now styled in a sophisticated, wild mane. She was sketching in a notebook, a cup of coffee steaming beside her. She had a few more freckles, a confidence set to her shoulders, but her eyes, they were the same. It was Chloe. My breath caught in my throat. The noise of the coffee shop faded away. It felt like I was 15 again, my heart doing that funny, terrifying jump. Samil Boagme. Lau, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I just pointed. Sam followed my gaze. His eyes went wide. No way. Is that? Before I could answer, she looked up. Her eyes scanned the room, and then they landed on me. She froze. Her pencil stopped moving. Time stopped. She didn't look away. She just stared, her expression a storm of surprise, recognition, and something else, something soft. I felt like I should say something, do something, but my feet were glued to the floor. All the confidence I'd built as an adult vanished. It was Sam who broke the spell. He grabbed my arm and started dragging me towards her table. For heaven's sake, Leo, move. This is like watching a sad documentary. We stopped in front of her table. Up close, she was even more beautiful. The girl had become a woman. Chloe, I said, my voice hoarse. Leo, she breathed out. A smile, that same old sunshine smile, broke across her face. Oh my God, Lau. There was an awkward moment. Do we hug? Shake hands? I settled for a stupid little wave. Very cool, Leo. Still very cool. Can we join you? Sam asked, already pulling out a chair. Yes, please, she said, quickly clearing her sketchbook away. I sat down, my mind completely empty. Sam, bless him, took charge. So Chloe, wow, it's been forever. What are you doing here? I'm visiting my aunt, she said, but she was looking at me. She still lives here. I'm an illustrator now. I have a show at the little gallery down the street. Actually, an illustrator? That's amazing, Sam said. Leo's an engineer. Boring, but he makes bridges that don't fall down, so that's good. We all laughed a little nervously. Sam, realizing he was the third wheel in a moment 12 years in the making, suddenly stood up. You know what? I just remembered I have to call my mom. About a thing. You two catch up. He gave me a huge wink and disappeared. And then it was just us. Me and Chloe. Silence settled between us, but it wasn't the empty silence from our last phone call. It was a full silence, buzzing with a million unsaid things. You look good, Leo, she said finally. You too. You look happy. I am. Mostly. She stirred her coffee. I heard about you sometimes. Through the old school grapevine. Engineer. That suits you. You were always good at fixing things. Not everything, I said softly without thinking. She met my eyes. She knew what I meant. I wasn't talking about broken radios. Leo, about everything. How he ended. I've always felt I should have handled it better. I was young and scared, and it hurt so much to hear your voice and not be able to see you. You don't have to apologize, I said. I understood. It hurt me too. We were just kids trying to do an adult thing. Does it still hurt? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I thought about it. The ache. The memory. The ghost of her I carried for so long. Not like it did, I said honestly. It's more like a beautiful scar. It reminds me of something that was real and good. Tears welled in her eyes, but she was smiling. A beautiful scar. I like that. We talked for 2 hours. We didn't talk about the past. Not really. We talked about now. Her art, my work, the places we'd traveled, the people we'd become. The shy teenagers were gone, replaced by these two adults who had lived a little, who had been bruised by life, but were still here. I learned she had never married. She'd had serious relationships, but something was always missing. She said she'd compared everyone to a memory, and it wasn't fair to them. My heart ached when she said that, because I'd done the same thing. Finally, she looked at her watch. I have to go meet my aunt for dinner, she said, regret in her voice. Of course, I said, a sudden panic rising. I couldn't let her disappear again. Chloe, your art show, is it open tomorrow? Yes, all day. Would it be okay if I came? To see your work? Her smile was like the sun coming out. I would love that, Leo. We stood up. Another awkward pause. Then, she stepped forward and hugged me. It wasn't a quick, friendly hug. It was a real, tight, bury your face in his shoulder hug. She still smelled like flowers and pencils. Tomorrow, then, she whispered. Tomorrow, I said. I watched her walk out of the coffee shop, a whirlwind of curls and color. Sam reappeared at my elbow. Well, we're having coffee tomorrow, I said, dazed. Sam rolled his eyes. You engineers. So romantic. You're seeing her art show, you idiot. That's a date. A date. The word felt strange and wonderful. The next day, I stood outside the small gallery, a bouquet of wildflowers in my hand, feeling ridiculous. I took a deep breath and walked in. The walls were covered in beautiful, whimsical illustrations. Forests with glowing trees, cities with flying fish, stars that connected into strange, beautiful constellations. And in the center of the main wall, there was one drawing that made my heart stop. It was a detailed, beautiful sketch of our old oak tree bench at Oakwood High. On the bench sat two teenagers, their backs to the viewer, looking out at a sunset. The boy had his arm around the girl. You couldn't see their faces, but you could feel the peace, the happiness. Underneath, in her elegant script, it was titled, I Carry Your Heart the First Time. I felt a presence beside me. It was Chloe. You came, she said. Of course I came, I said, my eyes still on the drawing. It's incredible. All of it. But this one, it's my favorite, she said softly. I've drawn it 100 times over the years. It's my happy place. I turned to look at her. Is it just a memory? Or, I couldn't finish the question. My old fear was back. The fear of breaking the beautiful glass bird. She took the flowers from my hand, a slow smile spreading across her face. What does the poem say, Leo? I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. She paused, her eyes searching mine. I never stopped carrying it, Leo. I've just got better at holding it. Tears filled my eyes. All those years, all that heartbreak, it hadn't been for nothing. It had led us here to this moment as these two people. So, I said, my voice thick with emotion, what happens now? In the story, she reached out and took my hand. Her hand felt the same, but different, stronger. Sure. Now, she said, her eyes shining. We turned the page, and we start a new chapter together. And as I looked into her eyes, the eyes of the girl I loved at 15 and the woman I was falling for all over again at 27, I realized something about first love. Maybe it's not always the love that lasts forever. Sometimes it's the love that teaches you what forever feels like. So that when you get a second chance, you're brave enough and wise enough to hold on tight and never let go.